Had anyone asked me on March 16th of this year where I thought I'd be 7 months later, the answer would have never been anywhere close to this. Except, maybe it would be. My mornings start almost all the same. That is to say that they are perfectly mundane, washed in black and white monotone shades, as most of my mornings often are, even the mornings before COVID-19. I get up because I have to. I put my glasses on so that I can see, and I check my notifications on my phone like everyone else, and I try to pretend that things are normal, that we aren't in the middle of a global pandemic that has led to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people. I hop in the shower, and then I get dressed, and I try not to think about how weird it is to be wearing real clothes, to be wearing jeans and having absolutely nowhere to go. Sometimes I put on my shoes to help myself feel productive. At the very least, I can pretend I'm going somewhere, even though I know I'm not. Pre-COVID-19, my weekday mornings were spent driving to my college campus and then attending classes in person. But now, to help prevent the spread of disease, all of my classes are asynchronous. So I no longer have any set meetings or defined times in which I need to attend class. Because of this, instead of getting a proper in-person education and heading out to the school, I now head out to find terrible, cheap coffee instead. Speaking of heading out, we're required to wear face masks now wherever we go. I don't mind it all that much, except that I now have to choose a face mask that matches my clothes or a face mask that no longer fogs up my glasses. And once I've found one, which takes like 15 minutes, I promptly end up losing it and having to pick up a new one in the middle of my drive anyway. It's funny, really. Despite the pandemic going on, I'm always driving. Not necessarily to stores or places like that. I just like to drive. It clears the mind somehow, and it gives me a moment to escape, and as I mentioned earlier, I enjoy pretending that things are normal. I enjoy pretending that we currently aren't in the middle of the global pandemic, and I can pretend to head someplace even though deep down I'm really just heading through a drive-thru or going to pick up some groceries because it's an emergency. A few months ago, my drives would have probably looked a lot different. I probably would be driving with friends or driving on my way to hang out with friends. But because of the pandemic, I've made sure that I'm the only person in the car unless I'm with a family member. And even when I'm with family members, I make sure to wear my face mask. I don't exactly hang out with my friends anymore, either, because I want to keep people safe. It's strange, really. You never realize how much you miss people until you can't hang out with them in fear of putting them at risk. In fact, I think something that's been bothering me ever since the beginning of the pandemic is the fact that I can no longer hang out with people. I myself am not really a people person. I have a hard time making friends, and so the friends I do have are incredibly important to me. But because of the pandemic, I can no longer see them, and there's always this intense sensation of isolation. The only time I really communicate with people is when I'm at my job, or the 5 minutes that it takes me to order an iced coffee in the drive-thru. And it's because of this lack of proper social interaction that I feel like my social abilities and my mental health are in rapid decline. Emotionally, it's hard to connect with people, and socially, I find it harder and harder to be able to speak and talk with people, especially with this looming fear of disease. It's also even harder to try and talk to people after months of being only around yourself and nobody else. It's so easy to get caught up inside one's own head, especially when there's no one there to distract them or to stop them from obsessing over the things that are bothering them the most. No one realizes it, but doing things alone or spending most of their time alone is extremely detrimental to one's mental stability and health. Humans are a social animal, a social creature, and we're humans of habit. We've been socializing for years and years and years. So now, in a time where we're being told that it's unsafe to socialize, of course things are just going to start feeling strange and disjointed. Today I went to the park by myself and it was empty, and it felt so strange. It honestly felt strange enough that I wanted to leave immediately, so I did what any other person would probably do. I put my mask back on and I headed home for the day. I know that I mentioned in the beginning that all of my days are monotonous and mundane, and it's the truth. COVID-19 has only made that more worse. My days are grayscale and my moods are grayscale. I spend my nights doing homework or at my job or just juggling to try and keep up with what's in front of me and to keep my head afloat. It's tiring, but it's what we do as people. It's what we have to do to stay alive.